Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Hello, testing 1, 2.
Yep.
Welcome back to Gooner Gathering. My name is Gooner Lee Meads, Lee Meadows, and we are joined today, firstly, by our regular co-host of the channel, the poshest man in all of sports entertainment. It's Posh Bertie. Hello, mate. How are you?
Hello. No, I'm good, thank you. Today, anyway, I'm fine. I'm looking forward to this video, and of course, I'm looking forward to talking to our esteemed guest or guests, hopefully, in this video. So, yeah, looking forward to it. Good to see you as always.
Thank you very much, sir. And we are also joined today by Shane from the Liverpool side of things. How are you, Shane? You well?
Yeah, I'm brilliant. Thanks for having me on, guys. And make sure everyone to like and subscribe the video. It really helps out the host and what they do.
Oh, bless you very much. Thank you very much, sir. That's very, very kind of you. Just my fellow Essex boy as well. It's nice to see you there. Just up the A12. It's good to see you. And the chat is lighting up, so we'll get into that in just a minute. But hopefully we will be joined by a Tottenham fan very shortly. If he doesn't show in, it's not a problem because obviously lots of things to talk about from Tuesday night, from Tottenham versus Manchester City, in terms of even the mentality at the start of the game, the crowd reactions, and I think there's an awful lot of stuff to go through as well. How the game went, certainly incidents in the match, and what it means coming into the final weekend on Sunday. So let's go through the chat, shall we? Let's go from top to bottom. If my admin man can go from Luke, and we'll work our way down. Thank you, sir. So,
So Niall Kane is in the chat saying, good evening, Niall. Emerson's here, good evening. Lee, Posh, Bertie and Shane, good evening, Mr. Cozier. AFC Always in the clock end, man with many names, says, good evening, good to see you. Niall Kane again, hopefully on Sunday there's drama and a twist.
Well,
we'll see
absolutely.
about that. I highly doubt it. And, of course, it's always good to welcome our resident Cobblers fan, Luke Chapman, saying Northampton Town will win League One next season. I hope we face each other in the FA Cup. There you go.
That's Cobblers. No, I mean, good to see you, Luke. Right, I think the best thing we can do, let's make a start on what happened on Tuesday, shall we? And it was a very strange occasion, I think, for everybody involved in it, because the Spurs fans, in some sort of weird kind of way, didn't want their own side to win, despite the fact that they were in a fight to get into the Champions League themselves. Maybe they didn't realise that themselves. I don't know. And then we even ended up in a scenario sometime during the game when Ange Pochettino was having a right proper round with one, and him too. Thank you. Thank you very much, Posh. Having a row with one of the Spurs fans saying, "No, just throw the game because we don't want Arsenal to win." So let's open it up with our guest, Shane. How did you feel for the start of this matchup? How did you think it was going to go? And how did
I've seen your messages.
Honest opinion, hey?
Yes,
right.
Please.
I've been a football fan since 1991, and I have never seen anything like it. And I've seen loads of things in football. I was there watching the great Aguero moment and other moments like that. I've never seen a group of fans, or it wasn't even a group, it was the majority of the stadium they were singing Blue Moon. They were actually wanting to throw the game. They were actually getting on the back of the players for trying. They were getting on the back of the manager because he didn't want to throw the game. I've never seen anything like it. It was like Bizarro land. And I've said a few things, and I'm not going to go back on any of the things I've said because it is how I feel. Honestly, I am a Liverpool fan, as you've seen. I hate Man United. It's in our DNA to hate Man United. But
Join the
even
club.
nothing would make me in this world, nothing would make me want my team to lose. Losing ain't in my DNA, guys. So I wouldn't sit there and go, oh, yeah, but you know what? It might stop Man United from winning the league. That doesn't matter to me. Do our job. Do our job. If we do our job, then, we're at least giving ourselves the best chance in that respect. At the end of the day, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to say, you know what? We bottled it. It weren't anyone else that did that for us or anything like that. We had a moment where I think we were about like 10 points or something like that ahead at one point. We were the ones that threw that away. So that is how I feel about that. With the whole Ange thing, I've seen certain Tottenham fans actually say that it was a disgrace that he didn't understand the mentality of the Tottenham fans, that they didn't want Arsenal to win the league, and also that they were turning around and saying that he should actually go because what he did was disgraceful for having a go at the fans and not even acknowledging the fans at the end. He had every right. At the end of the day, they were telling him to throw the game. At the end, that's not something that a football manager should ever hear. Don't try, just lose on purpose. Sam just turned up. Hello, Sam.
Welcome, Sam. Hello, mate.
Ooh.
Oh.
He's hooked up internet on his Mega Drive again. Sam, can you hear us, buddy?
Anyway, Shane, continue with your point.
Yeah. So I've never seen anything like that, and I'll even use a wrestling term. It basically what the Tottenham fans were trying to get Ange to do was the equivalent of Hogan Nash finger poke of doom. That's basically what they wanted. That's what they wanted him to do. And that's not in a manager's DNA. And if it is in a manager's DNA, he shouldn't be a manager. It's as simple as that. If you want your team to purposely lose for any other reason, then you shouldn't be a manager.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that reference very much as well. I want to check on our Gooner Gathering colleague over there. I can see your face is moving, Sam. Well, it was.
It was.
As Sam will try and sort himself out, because I think you're muted as well, Sam. I want to give him a couple of seconds if I can. You're getting a lot of encouragement in the chat as well, Shane. In the clock end, Arsenal FC, Shane speaking 100% facts. Mourinho, Conte, Ange all said the same thing about Tottenham. Says in the clock end, and it's about the mentality of the club, I think.
Well, one of the other things that I've been hearing on Twitter as well about it is that, we did it because we don't want to forever be in Arsenal's shadow. The way I look at it is if you are bothered.
You already are.
Yeah, if you're already bothered by what Arsenal are going to do and how Arsenal feel, you're already in their shadow and they're already living in your head and not even paying rent. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, absolutely. And now you're frozen again, Sam. Oh, dear.
I think it's my comments. I think it's just...
it's another typical Gooner Gathering stream. Let me throw it to Posh for a second. Because how did you think the game started for Tottenham? Presumably you saw at least the vast majority of it, right?
Yeah.
So how did you think they approached it, as in their approach to the game themselves?
Well, I thought both teams played well. I thought Tottenham played better than I thought they were going to do in the first half. But they did well to hold Man City to a draw in the first half. But what I do want to say, I will echo Shane's point about the Spurs fans, but I want to say both North London clubs heavily embarrassed themselves that night. You got Tottenham fans wanting their own team to lose, and you've got Arsenal fans essentially bending over for their own rivals, which is embarrassing in itself. I know it means, it means we can win the league, but right, here's an example. You wouldn't see, Rangers fans cheer for Celtic. You wouldn't see Real Madrid fans cheer for Atletico. And I'll use a local point. As an Ebbsfleet fan, you wouldn't see us cheer for Dartford or for Maidstone, wouldn't you? In fact, when Maidstone went on that run in the FA Cup, the entire country were praising them to the nines. I hated it. So there we go. So that's
I'm
why
a Colchester fan. I'm not going to cheer for Southend for anything.
I'm glad you didn't say Chelmsford. But no, I get.
Hey, can hear you now.
Oh, hello! I can hear you now, mate.
Yeah, no, you were all just loading. You kept coming in and out, and one was a black screen, and then so it's working now though. How is everyone?
It's really good to see you, Sam. Yeah, I'm okay. I think I can talk for the panel, saying we're hanging on in there. We're doing okay.
Yeah.
I'll just introduce you to Shane, who's our resident Liverpool fan for this evening. Who I know from I've seen his comments last night from Uncle Roger's WhatsApp group, and had some very interesting opinions and views regarding Tottenham versus Manchester City from Tuesday. What I want to get from you, Sam, if we can, just give your opening thoughts on how Spurs approached the game and how they started, certainly in the first half.
So I kept kind of coming in and out of the game because I just find it a bit boring, if I'm honest. It's a weird one. When I sit down and watch anybody other than Arsenal and a select few other games, I think for me anyway, my enthusiasm and stuff isn't there. So it's kind of more, I don't know. I just don't think it was a particularly great game from the bits that I saw. From what I heard / saw, Tottenham had much more of the ball in the first half. Man City didn't really do a great deal. But again, I think that's when Man City are most dangerous, is when they actually haven't got the ball and are not dominating play, because as soon as they do get that one chance, they're going to score, and it's always the same. So as much as I was kind of going, oh yeah, well, Tottenham are playing well, I knew that the inevitable was going to come and that City were going to score eventually. I don't know. I've had some time to obviously think about the whole thing, and I guess my counter question to what I'm about to say to all of you is, if the roles had been reversed and we were in Tottenham's position, would you have wanted, because obviously the majority of some of the Tottenham fans obviously just wanted to win the game, because there is still consequences in it that they could have qualified potentially for the Champions League. So I don't know about, I think this is where we differ without, like in serious terms, without taking the mick or anything. I think this is where we differ, because a lot of their fans were just happy to see us, happy to lose that game in order that they didn't help us. But in actual fact, eventually, I think we're going to win the league anyway. So, I don't see, for me, I'd have just gone out and wanted to win the game. And I pretty much know that that's what the manager wants to do. I'm not sure about the players, because obviously you can't really speak to them. But I guess my question for you and for Shane as well is that if we were in that situation, what would you have wanted to happen? Because for me, it's only one answer.
Well, go on, Posh, if you want to take it.
The context is important, because if Spurs won, then they would have had a greater chance of getting into the Champions League, which I think is something that I think a lot of people didn't expect from them at the start of the season. I know that obviously fourth place is not a trophy. I get that, but I'd much rather play in the Champions League than the Europa League or the Conference League or whatever. And with Aston Villa dropping points to Liverpool, it leaves a open gap for Tottenham to try and put the pressure on Villa going into the final day. And if they won, then their chances of, if you look at the games, they've got away to Sheffield United, which, famous last words for them, is a guaranteed win. And Aston Villa are away to Crystal Palace, which right now is not an easy fixture to go to because Palace are red hot at the moment. And as good as Villa are, there have been some away games where they've been a bit patchy. So I reckon,
apart from the one at the Emirates.
Well, unless it's at the Emirates, of course. But that's just
so
that's being the big red bottle jobs, isn't it? But if Spurs won that game, then they would have been. I don't want to say they would have been in the driving seat, but they would have had an
advantage.
Yeah, definitely put the pressure on Villa going into the final day of the season. So I think it's a bit silly disgraceful really for the fans to want to throw the game away. And I don't think Tottenham the players deliberately lost, like our tinfoil hat fans are saying, because I thought in the first half especially, they actually played quite well. Even though it pains me to praise Tottenham, even though there are cases where I've had to, they actually played well against City. I can't fault that.
Yeah, just to jump in quickly, it only made me thought of this because after the game, I saw I think a Tottenham fan tweet along the lines of, "I'm gonna be able to tell my kid in the future that we stopped Arsenal from winning the league," and then, but on the side, if we'd have got into the Champions League, I wouldn't have been able to tell my kid about that at all. And I'm thinking to myself, well, yes, but you shoot yourself in the foot because we know if you get Champions League football, you're able to attract the players. You get additional income. It's much more than that. And I think that's, like I say, where we differ. And I think even Postecoglou said along the lines, like, you saw him having a go at that fan that was like at the players all game to kind of lose on purpose. And he said, look, this is what we need to change. He made that quite clear. And I think it's just unfortunate. I think he's a great manager. I just think he's going to be ruined by Tottenham.
Mm-hmm. I largely agree with everything that the guys have said here. Bertie,
what's your view on it, Mr. Meadows? What would you do in this situation if the roles are reversed?
Yeah, I'm literally talking about it. I'm just thinking I can't put myself in my shoes when I'm wanting my own club to lose. I can't do that. It's not in my makeup. It's not what I'm about. And particularly being that we knew, I know it might have been sort of slim hopes, right, after Villa and got the draw against Shane's Liverpool side the other night. That you know that they were still fighting for that Champions League position, and to get into that, at least into the qualifying stages of the Champions League is absolutely crucial. I mean, we can talk, the three of us as the Arsenal fans, right? That's the first time that we've had Champions League football in, I want to say, something like 13 or 14 years. And when you open the doors, that door of opportunity to get into that sort of competition, it kind of opens up the door for you to get them elite players. And I'm talking about the likes of a Declan Rice, say, which ultimately, so you qualify. I mean, I know some people would like to use the word, Arsenal bottled the league last season. But what they did achieve, and you can come back at me if you want to, but what we did achieve is we finished second and we did manage to qualify for the Champions League. Mm-hmm. So it did mean that there was a little bit more money available for us to go out and get someone like a Declan Rice, who has been our player of the season without question. And and all I see from Arsenal furthermore from there is to grow and grow. Now, for a Spurs fan to go into the game on Tuesday night thinking, oh, we don't want Arsenal to win the title, that would be horrible, right? I think they probably need to worry a little bit more about themselves. That is just my point of view. I can understand them not wanting us to pick up the trophy. I get it. But it's a case of that there was a bigger picture for me. And if Spurs want to reach the levels of, let's be fair, let's talk our Liverpool fan here, who not too long ago picked up the Champions League trophy themselves, right? I mean, to pick up the pinnacle of the European trophies, it's something we haven't done. And so you've picked up the league trophy, something we haven't done in quite a while. But that's how you build the momentum. It's how you improve your squad. It's by being in them competitions. Throw it to Shane.
I think it goes as well. Just quickly before we go to Shane, like I think it gives you the chance. Not only does it give you the players and give you it, but it gives you the opportunities to test yourself against the best teams in the world. Like, you know how painful it was watching that Europa League week in, week out. And some weeks we'd be playing a good team, and then other weeks we'd be playing part-time players. You know how painful that was for years. So I think it does more than that. It gives you the chance to test yourself against the elite as well.
Yeah, but like I said earlier, that it's not in my DNA to lose. So there is no scenario. Obviously, I have to speak on the behalf of like me being a Liverpool fan. So it would be Man United. There's no scenario I can ever think of where I'd be like, I want us to lose because it means that they don't do it. Because at the end of the day, I'll use as an example for this season. Reason we didn't win the league is we screwed up against Man United. We screwed up against Crystal Palace. There were games where we should have won, which we didn't. We dropped the point.
The reason we're not going to win the league as well. Exact same reason.
And that's the thing I don't get is where Tottenham are trying to take this as some kind of a success that they stopped you from winning the league. No, you stopped you from winning the league from losing games like Villa. No offense or anything like that. But
I agree. I agree with you.
That's 100%.
West Ham and Fulham as well. Those were games that we should have won.
So, no, to answer your question, Sam, there is no scenario in the world that would make me go, I want us to lose because it would stop Man United from picking up the trophy. Do your own job.
Yeah.
Then worry about themselves.
Can I also say, before we go to Sam, can I just say, when it also comes to the Arsenal fans cheering for Tottenham and all that, Shane, you wouldn't cheer for Everton, wouldn't you? Under any circumstances.
No. Although
Exactly.
I will say one thing with the Everton thing. I do find that rivalry funny because as a Liverpool fan, I'll say it outright. It's completely one-sided. Everton are the one that hate us. We just don't care about them. There's never been a time when we've really cared that much about them.
As Bill Shankly once said, there are only two teams in Liverpool and Liverpool reserves.
Exactly.
There you go. That's a quote from him.
You're forgetting
Anyway,
the women's
Sam,
side.
you were gonna speak.
Oh yeah, and the youth academy.
Yeah. See, it's funny you said that, Bob, because that's what I was about to go on to. Because I know I had this conversation within my little group chat of Arsenal fans. They didn't really like what I said because they were all going, "Oh yeah, going to support Tottenham." I said, "Can I stop you there? Like, I'll never support Tottenham. I want them to win. There's a distinct difference between the two. Wanting them to win and supporting them is very different things." A lot of the Arsenal fans are going, "Oh yeah, I'm supporting Tottenham for a night," and I'm like, "I'm not. I just want them to win. Like, there's a distinct difference." so I think it's a little bit embarrassing on us as well, at a certain part, because a lot of our fans were kind of posting half an Arsenal badge and half a Tottenham badge.
This abomination here, for example.
Oh my God.
Can I hold on a second, Bosch? Hold on, stay there.
Sorry. I know we have to censor that, but
No, put it on the screen. I want to so we can all see it. Right. Okay. Give me a second. Let me just pop your image on.
North London.
Yes, it says North London United.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is not the time when my computer doesn't want to work, isn't it?
Yeah, I've not seen that, but I genuinely.
I'm going to take it off the screen. I don't want to burn your eyes with that horrific imagery there.
Not a problem.
I do think. Again, like some of the, and it really frustrated me. I think a little bit. A lot of like the quite outspoken fans. I won't name any of them, but like quite a lot of the outspoken fans were getting so much grief and so much hate, saying, "Oh, you're not supporting Tottenham. You're not a proper Arsenal fan." And I'm thinking, and they're going, "No, like I'll never support them." Like some of them were saying, "My granddad will literally come out of his grave and like strangle me or whatever if he knew that I ever said those few words." Like, and I think that was like I've got certain people that I not know of them personally, because I wouldn't know them at all now if they kind of did what they did the other night. And I know some Arsenal fans went out in bloody Tottenham shirts the other day, like, and I just don't get it. Like, I don't get it at all.
You had some Arsenal fans wanting to get tickets for the Tottenham Man City game. That's going to go into Tottenham's transfer fund.
Yeah.
So if they get good players and they win silverware next season, well done to those Arsenal fans, because you've helped fund that.
There's a couple of like Instagram pages that were encouraging people, because there were so many tickets. They were encouraging fans to buy tickets, and the comments were just like, "Well, we've got to buy a membership first of all, so that's not going to happen." Like, but just to put that ideas in people's heads, that's a bit embarrassing on our part, I think.
Yeah. So if I could jump in here, on what I wanted to do when I did the watch along on Tuesday, I wanted to come across, and I hope I achieved that. You guys can tell me if you saw some or all the broadcasts. Is sort of come across as a sort of straight man down the middle, call it as I see it kind of deal, like I've done a couple of times this season, and I wanted to make sure I called it so I'm not going to make myself look stupid or make myself look like, oh, he's an Arsenal fan but he's cheering an Arsenal. Cheering a Tottenham bit or whatever, but I wanted to make sure I was covering it because it was an important thing to cover, and I hope I got the tone right. The guys in the chat would be able to tell me as well. But yeah, I was wanting, of course, Spurs to do us a favour. And it's unfortunate that it ended up like that, because I think Bertie's already just mentioned a few occasions just before Christmas or during Christmas period. We talked about the Fulham, the West Ham, and of course the Aston Villa game at the Emirates probably about a month ago now, which is like in all likelihood looking like it's gonna cost us in the end. However, we are kind of in a strange old situation. Whereas, despite it looking against all odds for Arsenal on Sunday picking up a league title, and look, I know realistically what certainly the fellow to my right is going to say to me when I say this, but until it's done, what Arsenal need to do is really actually first and foremost worrying about beating Everton on Sunday, and what will be in terms of Manchester City doing their thing against West Ham. That's kind of what I think, and it's 35 years ago since we travelled as Arsenal to Shane's beloved Anfield, no one giving us a hope in hell of picking up a league title, and all of a sudden, a couple of goals in the second half changed it all. I don't think for a minute that it's going to be an easy ride for anybody on Sunday. I reckon it will go one way and another way and then another way and again, because we've seen it many, many times. And until it is all over, until that full-time whistle goes, I ain't going to give up on it. That's why we're going to have a very interesting stream, a very interesting dynamic of a stream on Sunday, particularly because I can't even see the blinking Arsenal game on Sunday. But I'll leave it for you guys to respond to that.
Yeah.
Go on, Posh.
Sam, go ahead.
It's a weird one. Like on Tuesday, I kind of set myself up to know what was going to happen. I think me and Posh spoke about it on Monday quite a lot, and we were both in the same kind of camp that if we're expecting anything on that lot, then it's very slim. But I think I feel slightly different about the weekend. Like I knew what was going to happen on Tuesday. Me and Posh both said. But I think on Sunday, I think it's completely different. It feels like it for me anyway, because you've just got to kind of think to yourself, well, stranger things have happened. Like, they just have. So all we can do now is it's win or bust, isn't it? We win and just hope that we hope that West Ham can do something. But it's like I say, again, it's very unlikely. I don't want to bring my hopes up too much. But I think for me anyway, I don't know about Posh, it feels slightly different to how downbeat I was on Monday that things weren't going to like turn out the way we thought. But this weekend, like it's what it is. Like it could happen, it could not. Like I think I've gone past the stage of disappointment now. And I just think to myself, well, we just got to dust off and go again next season. Like we're in a much better. I think to myself, yes, we can. Me and Posh and everybody else could sit here and say that, oh well, we've not won anything still, but actually we're closer to winning that league than we have been for a very long time. So that's what I'm clutching at now, I think.
Yeah, and look, I do think that there are winnable games that we could have won, but we didn't. And I think that's what I'm trying to get. It's our fault that we slipped up there. But when it comes to on Sunday, look, the best we can do is win against Everton, which will be tough. You know what Sean Dyche is like. He won't just park the bus; he'll park the entire bus station. And also with Man City and West Ham, I mean, West Ham have put in some shocking performances recently. I think if you think that West Ham are going to pull off a miracle against Man City, I'm sorry, but you might need to see a doctor. But look, the best we can do at the moment is just win against Everton and just see what happens there. That's the situation we're in. But at the end of the day, there were some results we could have won. Look, to answer AFC Always' question for are Man City killing the excitement in the Premier League? Look, the only way to compete with Man City is to not become them, but be like them. I mean, Liverpool, for example, 2019, you got nearly 100 points. You still couldn't win without. I mean, you won the Champions League, so that's a great season anyway. But I think it's you have to be like them and match them to compete with them and win the league. That's what we've got to do at the end of the day. It may seem a bit challenging, but that's what we've got to do. And we've done well to take it to the final day. I agree with that, but I'm looking at various results. One result I noticed was in August when we drew 2-2 with Fulham, when Arteta decided to play Partey at right back and just leave Gabriel Magalhaes out of the team. Who would
ever do that, Bosch?
Out of 10 men. That's more of an annoying result than the 2-1 loss against Fulham in a way. But that's just me ranting now. Yeah.
Who would ever leave that Gabriel Magalhaes, eh?
No, imagine doing that.
That's the silly thing.
I don't know where positive Sam's coming from, but I don't have a clue where positive Sam's come from because it's normally a bit negative. But I suppose in response to that comment, we can kind of think, we can kind of think, oh well, yeah, City are ruining it. But actually, I think the positive we've got to take from it, like I've said, I think I've said it once already, is that we've never been so close to them. Like, yes, we still might be a little bit of a way off, but I don't think we've ever been this close to them since the beginning of time, since they got all this money. Like, I don't think we've, I don't think, So I think that's the positive that I look.
Yeah, I get that completely, because we're going to the final day with mathematically it's still a chance of pulling off an upset, don't we? That's the and that's what it is. And I know I want to make sure I get Bertie's point across that of course there are points, and you can point to them in the season where things have not gone necessarily right, but the difference between this campaign and last is the fact that coming up at the end of the 37th game, we are still technically fighting for this title. And you know what? All the games needed, and all Tuesday needed, in actual fact, was one goal, and it might have switched everything up again. We'll go back into talking Tottenham against Manchester City in just a second.
I'll add to something as well, just to unfortunately add to your bad feelings towards the end of the season and everything. You brought up a couple of times with, like, you're basically hoping for West Ham to beat Man City.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Unfortunately, that happened with Liverpool. I think I'm trying to even remember what year it was now, but yes, we were basically second. It was under Brendan Rodgers and Luis Suarez, Sturridge, Sterling, front three. And yes, basically, unfortunately, West Ham had nothing to play for. I don't know if they have anything to play for this season still, but when they don't have anything to play for, they don't play. I'm afraid to put that point across for you.
No, it's a fair point.
The only difference is that it'll be Moyes' last game, won't it? So that's the only thing they've got to play for. But again, I don't think that's a massive motivation. I don't think it's a huge one. It's not like if you gave them a chance of European football, for example. But I still think they won't want to go, because obviously he's served West Ham quite well. So I don't think they're wanting to go out on a bad performance as such. I just know our chances are extremely slim, like more slim than Tuesday night, and they were pretty slim.
Bertie, have you got anything more to add now, or shall I sort of sum up first half?
Again, sorry about this, Shane, but I think this is probably one of the main reasons why I think you lost out on that league with the Gerrard moment. We had our own slippy Gerrard moment last season, and I've always said, and funnily enough, against West Ham of all teams, when Anfield, when Xhaka and Trent decided to wrestle each other or something. But
talking about the Saka penalty miss.
The moment, in my opinion, when the title was lost last season was, funnily enough, against West Ham when Saka missed his penalty. Because if we had won our last two games before we got City, that 2-2 draw at Anfield I would have taken. But that penalty miss from Saka against West Ham last season, that was the pinpoint moment I thought everything just fell apart that season. That's my opinion. But that was last season. Also, AFC always says Son would have definitely scored if that was against Arsenal.
We'll get to that.
I'm not going to get into all these conspiracy theories, but
I want to.
It's not Son's fault that we've lost out on the league.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I know what's going to happen with that one.
So do I. But what we'll do, if I sum up the first half real quick, I think it ended up real close both ways. All the stats were quite similar. The only difference was Spurs were edging it a little bit in the possession wise, but I think shots on target, shots off target, and everything, it was quite close. And for a brief moment, I think me and Posh were thinking the same way, and that if it ends up like this, we'll go into the Sunday all level pegging and looking at potentially at goal difference. But it wasn't to be. unfortunately, the second half didn't start exactly the way we wanted it to, and in the interests of giving our opponents or our rivals for the title a bit of credit, the way that De Bruyne managed to get a little bit of space on that right, just to put the ball on the plate for Erling Haaland, who had a pretty quiet game, but then a centre forward doing what a centre forward does and just popping the ball in an empty net, being in the right place when he needed to be. He kind of, at that moment, I think it was something like 51, 52 minutes, gets you thinking, well, it's going to be a wee bit difficult now for Spurs to get anything from it. What say the panel?
Yeah, I would definitely say that. I would actually say, because I noticed Clockend said that basically they were the better side for the first half. I'd go as far as to say I think they were actually the better side overall. I think the amount of times Tottenham had Man City on the ropes, using like a boxing reference there, was just unbelievable. I mean, Kulusevski like literally could have had a hat trick himself, near enough just broke straight through the defense like they were like butter. Yeah, so I'd actually go as far as to say that they were the better side overall. It's just Man City being Man City. At the end of the day, all they need is that one chance, and that's it. I mean, you look at last season with Man City, the amount of times where it looked like Man City were going to lose, and then all of a sudden Haaland comes out of nowhere and just scores, and that's what happened in this. I'll go as far
Almost
as
as
to
if
say
having a clinical striker makes the difference.
I'll go as
Yeah.
far as to say the quadruple season as well, where it looked like Liverpool were going to, like we were fighting on all fronts, and at the end of the day, West Ham were actually at that point beating Man City. It was 2-0. It was Jared Bowen. And then out of nowhere, Man City just did what Man City do. I have quite a few thoughts about Man City, which we probably get to on another day. And, cough, cough, 115 charges, cough. Yeah, that one.
Precisely. I would have thought that would have been dealt with by now. Kind of puts coming up to Sunday puts a little bit of a black cloud above whatever happens, doesn't it?
I'll put a controversial point out there. I am skeptical if it's going to get sorted at all. And the reason I say that is Premier League are corrupt. They've proven it. Look
Allegedly.
they were very quick to deduct points from Nottingham Forest. They were very quick to do it to Everton. I think they've even done it to Leicester before Leicester even came back up. They have deducted points to other teams. They are dragging their feet. And in fact, I even heard something that they were actually thinking of changing the rules so it'd be a luxury tax rather than point deduction, rather than the punishments that already existed. And I think it's because Man City are their golden boys. They don't want to upset Man City. They don't want to lose Pep. They don't want to lose Haaland, because if they lose Haaland, they lose Pep, they lose the players like Man City have. That takes revenue away from the Premier League, eyes away from the Premier League. There are people that literally watch the Premier League for the big players.
See, I think there's two parts to that, isn't there? There's one side of it where that is a completely valid point, but there's another side of it when you've got 115 or however many charges it is. That takes a lot of time to work a process to how you're going to take that to court and stuff on both sides, from Man City and from the Premier League, or whoever's going to be fighting against it or for it or whatever. So you've got two sides, haven't you? You've got that side, which, again, like when you explained it, is completely understandable. But then again, the other side, And that's the thing. We're not going to know which side it is. We're not going to know until it does, until something about it comes up. But I think people are thinking it's going to be this quick. But I think it's going to be years and years and years before anything happens to it. Just because of.
Sorry to jump in on you, Sam, but they did say that the guy who's in charge of the Premier League, I think his name's Richard something.
Richard
He did say, thank you. Did say that it will be dealt with, and I quote, soon.
There's no specific date, isn't there?
No, but I do also understand that there's a massive difference between the charges that were laid to Everton and Nottingham Forest. There's a massive difference between them, indeed Leicester as well, of course, in their previous stint in the Premier League, than the 115 odd charges that City have got. But again, we'll see what happens with that. I kind of thought it's a bit of a shame that if we're going into this week, unless of course it happens tomorrow, it could do. Who knows? Because just big public announcement. Yeah, just before we go do the title showdown. Yeah. By the way, we're going to drop them all these points, and we're going. No, I don't think that's going to happen. But who knows? No. Who knows?
But I wouldn't really want to win the league like that either, to be honest.
No, I get you.
Like that, I want to do it on full of merit, because you know what, all the other fans of other clubs are going to say, "Oh, you only won it because Man City dropped the point," and then we'll have that. Yeah. But when I win the league, and when we win the league, I want there to be no argument about it and say, "Do you know what? Like, if we'd have won this league, we won the league this year, there would have been no argument about it." Because even, like I said to Post the other day, even fans that absolutely hate Arsenal are coming to me and saying, "Do you know what? It's a bit unfortunate that they haven't won the league this year, because they have been the best team, like, to watch and stuff." So for people that would do anything to take the mick, that does take quite a lot. I do think that James right in saying that Tottenham were the better team throughout. I do think that if they had a type of a striker like a Haaland, I think they would have won that really comfortably, to be fair. It was just the fact that they didn't have that. As I watched the game anyway, like I said, I didn't see all of it, but it just struck me a bit like Man United when they played us. They didn't just have that killer edge. They could do everything before, but just couldn't put the ball in the net. And it struck me that Tottenham were going like that, like when Man United played us.
I'm going to pose a question. Do you think Kane would have scored that chance that Son had?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I can see where this discussion is going. So I'm going to. Here we go. Get your boxing gloves up, everyone. So I've seen a lot of comments, and I saw up in the live chat by my esteemed colleague underneath me on Tuesday. Hello, Sam. That so we all know the incident. What happened all came from basically nothing. It all came about from Tottenham putting the press on. All of a sudden, a loose pass put Sonny through on goal, and I largely agree to some extent that you'd expect him to have scored it. What I do, or what I haven't seen enough of, certainly from fans on the side of what we do here, right? It certainly was given the credit by the TV companies. Was given credit to Ortega, the goalkeeper, the substitute goalkeeper, in fact, who, by the way, is going to be in the sticks on Sunday. We'll get into that right at the end, if you like. But what I want to say is that when Sonny was coming in on goal like he was, you're probably thinking, normally he'd score by that, and I totally agree with what you're saying. What Ortega didn't do, he didn't rush into making a decision. What he did was came out of his goal position, so he's off the goal line a little bit. He came a bit closer, so he kind of narrowed the angle a little bit. So he so Son didn't have a lot to aim at, and yeah, he hit his shot, and it came off the goalkeeper. Of course it did. But I'm not having it for any moment of time that he's missed it on purpose. I'm not having any of that nonsense. And look, people can argue with me, and I will respect it, and I'll listen to arguments. But particularly off Son, who is the Tottenham captain, by the way, I ain't having any of the fact that he's gone in and tried to hit that ball straight at the goalkeeper. But look, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Sam, I want to bring you in now.
Yeah. Again, I'm not trying to pick myself up here, but with that fact is that even when I made that claim, we're never going to know what's going on in a person's head. Like, that's not a power that I've got. So we're never going to know the answer anyway. So we could both go back and forward however many times and how long, whatever. But we're never going to know the actual answer. I think I was going off. I don't know. I was going off a couple of things. I was going off heat of the moment and the annoyance in the fact that for me anyway, I don't know about everybody else, but every single other week, if you'd have, this game doesn't matter. If you'd have said, right, if you'd have given me a still of that shot and said, right, is Son going to score this? I bet you, all three of us, and probably 100 more would have said, right, yeah, definitely that's going in, just because of how, as much as it pains me to say, how much a good of a player he is. So that's, I think, what I was going off. In my head, I'm thinking, yeah, every other week he's scoring that, which he probably would. And I don't think, I get what you mean about the goalkeeper. I don't think he did okay. I don't think that's the factor as to why he missed it. I think it was probably a mixture of things. It could have been that, but I think it was a mixture of how much had been put into the game in the media before, during, and after, and all the things. So again, it was quite a high pressure situation. So we are likely just to not do as well as we would normally do in that situation. I don't know. I was going based off. Again, I don't want to kind of, because when you have an argument or a disagreement about things like we did.
Discussion, mate.
Yeah, it's discussion. I wouldn't say it was even. It was just, but I do see where I was coming from, and I'm not going to say that I was wrong because you don't know the answer. Like, it's one of those questions that if you ask Posh and Shane, there might be one with Lee and there might be one we're not with. Like, so I don't know. It's one of those, isn't it? Like, I think I led into the narrative of the game a bit much, probably. And I thought to myself, right, what's Twitter going to be saying? Oh, I missed it on purpose. Oh, yeah, that's what I'll say. Right? So I think I led in, I put myself in the occasion maybe a little bit as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those ones, isn't it? Like, that every other week he'd have probably scored.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair, Sam. And I think it was only right for me to make sure you have your say in it. Absolutely, I get it. I get it totally. I'd like to hear the other boys' thoughts on the Son chance. Actually, whoever buzzes in first,
or...
go for it, Shane. Go for it.
I don't think he did that on purpose. As far as I'm concerned, you look at how Ange was at a fan telling him to throw the game. If he found out that a Tottenham player, the Tottenham captain, purposely missed a shot, which could have actually given a point or helped them win the game, don't you think that if he finds something out like that, he's going to strip him of the captaincy or something like that? He's not going to do nothing. The way that he's talking about the mentality of wanting to lose, he's not going to sit there and do nothing. That's the way I look at it. I'll bring Salah into the conversation as well. There are times when I thought Salah's through on goal. Surely he's putting this in the back of the net. Notice I didn't say Nunez. That's a different conversation for a different day.
We
But
expect
there
it
are
from him.
times when Salah's missed. At the end of the day, these players are human. And I do think, with you, Sam, I do think it probably was emotion that probably did make you kind of go to that. I mean, we're all guilty of it. We're human beings. Yes, I saw that what Emerson just said there, that Son should have scored. Yeah, he should have, but he's human. And I do also have to say the goalkeeper, who doesn't get that many opportunities because Edison is literally the number one, probably decided, you know what, I'm not letting this go in. He turned into Gandalf, you shall not pass, and literally made himself as big as possible to make sure that ball didn't go past him. Like I said, Salah misses chances like that. So no, I don't think that he missed that on purpose.
I'm sure I just saw heel Batman just for a second. I don't know what happened.
I have just turned my camera off for a second, and as I turn the camera off, heel Batman's in my space, and he's not even here. Look, I'll do it again.
Oh, good God.
Well, there we go.
At least it wasn't Vince McMahon this time, mate. At least
Who?
it wasn't a man in a do-rag.
Oh, God.
Yeah, at least it wasn't the one that came last time. Yeah, that was a lot worse. I remember thinking to myself, oh no, they're going to be coming pitchforks when the channel gets.
I want to change the stream rather quick.
The funny thing was, I saw it with the side of my eye, and I said, "What on earth did I just say?" Anyway, let's bring it back to what we were talking about. Can I just? I want to get Posh's view on the Son chance, and then we'll talk about the penalty, and then we'll bring it further forward.
Yeah, I think Ortega did well to save it, especially as it's a one-on-one. Usually about 75% of the time players do score one-on-ones, but I think Ortega did well there. I don't believe for a second that, it was a brown envelope or anything like that. No. And I don't believe that when it comes to Pedro Porro. I don't deliberately foul a Man City player in order for them to get a penalty just so it stops Arsenal. I don't. I think people need to put their tinfoil hats away and just think that it's one of those things where a player should score and they don't. And as Shane mentioned, Salah has done that. Nunez does that for a living. I
hope you don't regret that.
I'm sure
hurts.
You mentioned it. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure Saka has probably done that before. I'm sure there have been many Arsenal players, even the best, that have had chances they should have scored but spectacularly missed it. Remember Fernando Torres against Man United? He missed that open goal.
Great point, mate. Absolutely great point.
On a whim, they happen.
I'll even go as far back as like the days of Michael Owen. Michael Owen was literally on the goal line, should have put the ball in the back of the net, and the ball went over the bar somehow. It
probably
happened.
twinged his hamstring was doing it. That's what it was.
Poor old fella. He did that a lot. Yeah.
I don't mean it. Don't sue me.
No, it's fine. I can't believe now that he claims himself to be a Man United legend. That one makes me laugh. That one does.
He did win the prestigious League Cup for him.
Oh, yeah.
I was just waiting to see Posh Bertie's reaction to me saying that. That's all.
At the end,
well, a trophy's a trophy at the end of the day, but that's why I argue that Liverpool may have had a better season than us because they won a trophy and we didn't. But that's a story for another day.
Well, before we write it off, mate, I think we'll just see what happens on Sunday, shall we?
Well, we'll see.
I've got these great glasses on. That make me see things.
Celebration, that is.
Have they got beer at the bottom of them?
I'm probably going to need plenty of that on Sunday as well.
Steve Wise's.
Been there.
Oh, hell yeah. All right, so let's bring the stream along because I'm very aware we've been on over an hour already. yeah, we mentioned Pedro Porro gave away the penalty. I don't think there's any complaints. Any complaints on the penalty? Raise your hands. There you go. It was yes. Go ahead.
When I watched the replay back, he did slightly touch the ball. Again, I've been laughed at for this. But as the tackle went in, he did slightly touch the ball. So there's me. That was my little glimmer of hope. I was like, he touched the ball. How are we going to overturn it? But yeah, I do get that. I do get that if that should have been on the other foot and that would have been us getting that tackle, I'd have said penalty. So I can't really say it.
Fair enough. I'll answer that. Do I remember Tony Adams' goal against Everton in '98? Steve Bold putting Tony Adams through a goal. Would you believe it? Yeah, I do. I was there. I was watching it live, mate. I was watching it. I wasn't at the ground. I was watching it on television, but I was watching it live. It seems like an absolute age ago now. I think it's about time we picked up that league trophy, but you know, what do I know? All right, so they got the penalty. Haaland put it away. Haaland doing what he does best, in fairness. I want to make sure I do give the guy credit because he is a great goal scorer. He potentially will become the difference in between the sides winning the league and what not winning the league. Mm-hmm. We shall see, eh? We shall see. But that's how it ended. It ended 2-0. What it does mean, of course, like we've brought it up, Arsenal to win the title, what we need to do is beat Everton first and foremost, and then we'll hope for a bit of a miracle. Almost like we've seen it before when Manchester City played QPR on the last day of the season. And yeah, I know how it turned out, but it wasn't as simple as everyone might have thought it might have been, right? Before the Aguero moment. I'm hoping maybe for Havertz. That's what I'm hoping for. I tell you what, you get good money on that, mate.
Party!
If Eddie Nketiah gets the winner to make us somehow win the league, I will take back everything I said about him being one of the worst strikers since Francis Jeffers and Yaya Sanogo. I'll take back everything I said about him if he does that. But I don't think it's going to happen. Sadly.
That's an elite class of players that he's part of. What you're on about? That's an elite class of players. I've not seen many better strikers than the elite. To be honest, beat the elite. I'll give you a little backstory on Yaya Sanogo. It's only my only memory of him that I've got. We went to an Emirates Cup, and I remember.
Oh, you didn't see that, did you? You weren't there for that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember telling everybody around me when we knew that Yaya Sanogo was playing. I remember telling everybody, my dad and everybody around me, that he was absolutely rubbish, and you'll never see a worse football player. And this woman tapped me on the shoulder at the end of the game and said, "Oh, he scored. Did he score 4 or 5? I can't remember which. 4. He either scored 4 or 5." And he said, "Oh, do you still think he's rubbish now?" And I said, "Yes, I do." Yes, I do. It's a pre-season friendly. You just watch him, and you just watch him for the rest of the season. And I wish I could see that woman at the end of that season and go, "Do you know what? I was right, wasn't I?"
Former FA Cup winner, of course, so difference maker in the game.
A similar thing happened to me at an Ebbsfleet match when I took a friend of mine to see them. This was back in 2017. And we had a player called Andy Drury, who actually had a lot of Football League experience.
Is he related to Peter?
I said he's an experienced player, but he's a bit old and past it. He's a bit average of a midfielder. He scored 2 goals and got player of the match when I said that. So there you go. That situation has happened to me before.
Yeah. Absolutely. So it's a no-go the lamppost. Oh, he was a legend, though, bless him. Like, he made the difference in that cup final, didn't he?
He tried, bless him.
He did. He was very trying. So what
was green, as they say in wrestling. He was a bit green.
He was. So look, what I want to do right now is, I'm almost sounding like Ravishing Rick Rude there, aren't I? What I'd like to have right now is for all of you football fans to have your discussion on the VAR debate. So, look, we all know, and I think we've all, just briefly, because what happened yesterday is it was announced by the Premier League that at their annual general meeting at the end of the season, it will be discussed whether VAR should be abolished or not. I think this motion has been put forward by Wolverhampton Wanderers after they've been on the wrong end of a lot of it. Thank you very much in the clock end, Arsenal FC, Mick Foley, Arsenal Forever, Dude Love, so many names. It's unbelievable. So what I'd like is for you to give your thoughts on the notion that they're going to debate the VAR and, you know, what the outcome's going to be and what are the faults, and, you know, just try and sum up your feelings as quick as you can, guys. Let's chuck it to Posh first.
Right, I'm going to jump in first.
No, Sam jumped in first.
Only because
okay.
my laptop is going to die, so you may lose me, which is why I'm going to jump in really quick.
No
I hope that the right decision is made, but do I think it will happen? I'm not actually sure, because I read that they have to have 14 out of the 20 for something to change. Again, that's when you look at it logically, you'd think, oh, well, I think we've got enough backing that 14 teams will want it different. But that's quite a high number of teams. We've kind of got a lot of the teams that we don't know. Yeah, we've got quite a lot of the teams that we don't know much about as to whether they agree with VAR or not. But I think we've got quite a lot of teams that are unanswered for. So yeah, that's my view on things. I'm not really sure how it will go. Obviously, can't tell. But I shall now bid you farewell, because I've just realised that on 2K I've got an easy that came out today.
I don't know what you said, but we'll take that as a valid excuse.
I want to say thank you very much, Sam, for jumping in. Very much appreciated. Do your socials, mate, if you want, please.
That's all right. Quickly, so the main one is Wrestle Dogs, our wrestling channel. You'll have heard about it quite a lot. That's what I leave you with. My social. You probably heard it 90 times before. So, yeah, I'll leave you that one.
Thank you very much, Sam. We'll give you another plug before we go off air, mate.
Cool. Thanks. See you later.
Cheers, mate.
There we go.
Right. So let's try and catch up with the chat a little bit. So we said that in the clock in said this has been a great show, guys. Every club has to vote about this VAR. Apparently, 85% this season VAR have got it right, but it's I think it's that small bit of that, you know. I'll give you a great example of the Newcastle lad who had his Achilles taken off yesterday against Man United, and he's wanting. Yes, that's the one. That's the one. I was struggling to find a name, if you couldn't realise. And he, in his interview, he's saying that I didn't claim for it. I didn't, to the referee, because I knew it was a penalty, and I knew the VAR would give it, and then they didn't give it. So what was the point? It's I don't know. And as a broadcaster, and I'm sure Bertie would agree with me, it makes you feel like you're walking around on eggshells when you're doing your live match.
When you've just scored.
Because I mean, I've kind of managed to train my eyes a little bit and make them. I'm a bit like Shawn Michaels. I've got one eye going one way and one the other way, so I can see another sideline as well. or at least I try to. And to be fair, I think I got a pretty good record on it as well. Old Trafford was a good example of it last weekend. Do you remember when we won at Old Trafford, and then sort of about 2 days later, people are saying Arteta out?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, as I said, we won at Old Trafford. We got the 3 points. That's all that matters at the end of the day. But, of course, I don't think the league's insights into the result, but that's by the by. When it comes to that VAR situation, look, the idea of VAR itself on paper is a good idea, but the officials have been... I don't want to use the term corrupt, but yeah, it's not been the best use of VAR since it's been installed. There have been, I think the bad has outweighed the good when it comes to VAR, sadly. And whether it's a case of being better without it than with it, it's just, and the whole, when Declan Rice scored that last minute winner against Man United and we were all going crazy. I was like, oh, hang on, it's going to go to VAR. It might go to VAR, hang on, even though he was well onside. Like, I was thinking that. I was thinking, no, I don't know. It's just, like, it's taking the fun out of football, in my opinion. I think we're better without it than with it, but I do, at the same time, I do think that the idea of VAR is good, but it's not being used in the correct way. It's being used to just ruin everything, sadly. So yeah, it's just
okay. So what I'll say to that is that with the offside calls and stuff that you're referring to, of course I remember the Declan Rice goal against Man United very well. That sort of situation should be cleared up quite a bit more quicker next season with the semi-automatic offside calls. I think it'd be interesting to see how all that works, because I'm not privy to it. I have not seen it. But if it wipes off a bit of a time in how they're checking the VAR, and of course, in fairness, they couldn't change it halfway through the season because that wouldn't be fair, right? But if it makes it more efficient, and if the VAR, and that's where the majority of the complaints are, isn't it? Over the offside usage and all that sort of stuff. If that's cleared up a little bit quicker, I think that might make it a little bit more tolerable. Certainly for what we do anyway, Posh. When we're doing the live matches and stuff like that, there's nothing worse than trying to put you want to go into full celebration mode, and it's very difficult just to keep the handbrake on a little bit.
To just like go. Do I run? Do I?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like,
what to do.
if there's a situation where we score like a last minute goal that could win us the league. Oh, hang on, VAR check, potential offside. When everyone's going absolutely crazy, like, oh my word! No,
And look at all of a sudden it is Mickey Thomas. Mickey Thomas is onside. Look. Who knows? So that's the VAR thing dealt with. What I do want to make sure I do before we leave tonight, I want to give Shane a chance to talk a little bit about Liverpool, because it's only fair, because he's been kind enough to join us as a first time guest today. How do you think Liverpool have got on? Obviously, it's been a strange sort of season for you guys. Obviously, you were in the driving seat for some time in terms of the title race. Klopp's announced he's about to go. What are your thoughts and feelings coming towards the end of the season? And what are your hopes with the new manager? What do you know about him? What do you think about some of the players that have been there some time? What are their futures? I'm thinking about Salah a little bit as well on that one.
Honestly, when it comes to Liverpool's season, and there's going to be a lot of Liverpool fans that won't actually admit this, but we didn't actually expect much from this season. At the start of the season, it was supposed to be a rebuild. If you think about all the players, all the characters that basically left at the end of last season, and then in the summer, Henderson and like Fabinho, and like most of our midfield was gutted, basically. So it was quite a rebuild. So we weren't really, or I wasn't actually expecting much. I was expecting like a sort of transition season. I would have been happy, like, just to get top 4. And then the season started, and it was like, okay, we are seeming to turn up here. You mentioned VAR, so it's only right that I mention the game where VAR more or less got it horribly wrong, and that would be the Tottenham one, the Tottenham versus Liverpool game. If there was anything as an advertisement as to why VAR shouldn't exist, that game would be it. As like, amongst many others, like the Newcastle game where the ball was way over the line, it was untrue. And bring back Milner, yeah. Yeah, the thing for me is it's been a weird season because it's been trying to get the it's trying to get the players to start gelling. I still don't feel convinced with Trent as right back, and Klopp has tried to put him in this inverted role, but he's still technically a right back.
We know a lot about that. We know a lot about that. Don't worry.
Yeah,
Certain Ukrainian left back that we have.
Zinchenko, yeah. I don't
I think Trent's better than
understand
him by far.
why we don't put Trent in the midfield. I think that would solve so many problems if we actually put him. And maybe, as you mentioned about Schlott, honestly, I don't know too much about him. I will be completely honest. I don't know that much about him. I do know that he does play a certain style. Oh, now my PC battery's running low, so I don't know how much longer I've got.
We're going to run it in close in a minute, mate. Don't worry.
Honestly, I think as an offensive 8, I think Trent would do wonders. Put Bradley in at right back. That's honestly what I would do. When Bradley came in, Bradley was just amazing. It's been a stop-start season all season. And then it was the whole thing with the title race, and yeah, we screwed it up. There was that run of games following Man United, then following Man United in the Cup, then following Crystal Palace, and then there was times when we did win a game, and then there were times when we drew a game, and then I'll use basically the game against Aston Villa. It reminded me so much of the Crystal Palace game. It's where you said about the Gerrard slip moment. That wasn't the only thing that lost us the league that season. It was the game against Crystal Palace when we were 3-0 up, and somehow basically they managed to score 3 goals. That was the one, because we were trying to go for like goal difference on that. We were trying to improve our goal difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my long and short of it. I will say, been a big fan of everything that Klopp has done. He has been the best manager for Liverpool in like recent times. I know loads of people say of all time. I am not going to say that. He is the best of recent times. He is not. He does not take the place of Paisley or Shankly in my eyes. Not even close. Maybe about like 4th best, or he'll be in the conversation, but he's not the best. I will say, gonna miss him, and good luck to him. I have a strange feeling he might end up back at Dortmund. I will say that part of this is on him as well. He didn't have to announce it publicly when he did. I think that did change things. I think it got into a lot of players' heads. Maybe players started thinking, well, what's my future going to be at the end of the season if Klopp's going and Klopp favoured me? Is this new manager that's going to come in favour me as well? So I think it started getting into players' heads, and I do think it affected running, really. So I don't think he should have done that. By all means, at the end of the season, do an emotional announcement at the end of the Wolves game. Do what Ten Hagen does, but actually make it mean something.
Yeah, many shameless moments this week, honestly.
Yeah.
Did you know it was word for word the same thing he did last season? If you actually put them side by side,
I did not see it, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was literally. If you put them side by side, it was the same speech.
Except more fans were booing this time. So
that's the difference.
It'll be interesting to see how he wraps up the season at United with the cup final coming up in a couple of weeks.
If he wins the FA Cup, he would have won more trophies than Arteta. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're forgetting we're still playing for the Premier League on Sunday, mate.
Yeah, if I said.
Let's see what happens, shall we? Anyway, look, I've got to say, I'll just say a little piece on Klopp before we're going to go. I'll say with Klopp that he's probably in the Premier League era, he's by far and away the best that Liverpool have had, and we've had numerous battles against him, and I've gone on record doing on our channel. It was that match at Anfield that I think cost us ultimately, but he's had so much more than that. He's obviously picked up the trophies, he's picked up the Premier League himself, he's picked up the Champions League himself, and I think it's probably only right to wish him well. And whatever Klopp decides to do, whether he decides to take a bit of a step back from football, because he's it's a draining job, isn't it? Let's be fair. When you see someone who's been there as long as he has, he's given Liverpool plenty of solidarity. He's given, he's probably gone through about 2 to 3 sort of sets of sides to progress on from what he picked up from it was Roy, wasn't it? It was Roy Hodgson.
Roy Hodgson and then Brendan Rodgers.
Brendan, yes, indeed. But that's what I mean. I meant Brendan.
That's a painful era, the Roy Hodgson Liverpool era.
Holken Chesky, come on.
Yeah, what a left back. Left back in the dressing
Bit of
room.
Ricky boy, just up the road from us. Just a little bit further down the A12 from Shane. But yeah, just to call this to a close. This has been a bit different for us. We having a little bit of discussion on one of our opposition games. I would have loved to have had our Spurs fan on. For whatever reason, it's not been able to happen. It might happen another time. Who knows? Mm-hmm. But I've absolutely thoroughly enjoyed this stream tonight, guys. And who knows how the season will end up. Sunday's going to be a very, very interesting day. Certainly on Gooner Gathering, that's for sure. I believe as it goes, my esteemed broadcast partner will be covering the Arsenal game, and I'm going to be covering the Manchester City game on Sunday, just because of the television constraints that we both have. Hopefully, I'll be able to see some pictures as well of what's going on at the Emirates. But
I think we should cover the Arsenal-Everton game on my channel, and you do the City-West Ham game on Gooner Gathering. It'd be the Monday Night Wars all over again.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll have a creative discussion on that one, shall we?
Yeah. Can I just
do
give my
split screen like the Shane McMahon reveal for buying WCW?
Here comes the money. Can I just give my thoughts on Klopp as well? Because I don't think I've spoken properly about this. Because when he was announced that Klopp was leaving, I was getting ready to board a plane to the States for work purposes, funnily enough. But on Klopp, I have a lot of respect for him. I think he's been a great manager for Liverpool, rivalry aside. And some of the games against Man City were really good to watch. People called it the English El Clasico at one point. I actually kind of agree in some sorts. And I think that's a part of the football that's going to be missed when he goes. Because you saw Man City versus Arsenal, and that was a ball fest. You just, with Klopp, he played great football even in the title deciding games. when it comes to City and Arsenal, both teams were almost too cautious to do anything to try and avoid losing. And it was just, we're going to miss that particular type of football when Klopp goes. I think he's been a great manager for you. And certainly your best manager in modern times. Not as good as Bill Shankly, I agree with you. But definitely your best manager. You're your best manager of the 21st century, I'd say. Better than Rafa.
100%.
Ooh, that's a big shout. You're going to have a lot of Rafa fans around.
He's better than Rafa, and that's your fact.
Do you know what? There were quite a few things that I liked about Rafa, but yeah, I'm sorry, Klopp did do better than Rafa. Rafa had the I'd say probably the worst team to pick up when he took over and things like that, and to win the Champions League, that was quite a moment. I remember literally my mouth falling open watching that game of football. I could not believe it was happening. And there were quite a few things that Rafa did that were really, really good, but Klopp's done it over a number of years now. I would say that Klopp has gone ahead now of Rafa. I will have to cut it short though, guys. I've just looked. I've got about 5% on my battery, but it's been absolutely brilliant. Again, a bit of housekeeping for the host. Make sure you like and subscribe. At the end of the day, without you guys, they can't do what they do, and what they do is brilliant. Thank you, everyone. And
God bless you, Shane. Thanks, mate.
See you later.
Thanks a lot for being here.
See you later, Shane.
See ya.
What an absolute joy.
Yeah, I think we might have to end the stream now as well, to be honest, because I've got to prepare for going on another channel, haven't I?
Absolutely. And where are you heading off tonight, mate? Where are you off to?
So, in almost 17 minutes or fewer, you can find me on Gun Down's YouTube channel. So Carl, who's been on our channel before, youtube.com/Gun Down, where we'll more likely be ranting a lot about various things. I think we'll be, as we both said, we'll be having a good old-fashioned cooking of various Arsenal fans supporting Spurs and maybe Spurs fans that wanted their own team to lose. I think it'll be flammable Thursdays for a reason. Yeah, so go on youtube.com/Gun Down. It'll be a very good video, and Carl's a very nice man. So, subscribe to him.
Did you say, if you smell what Carl's cooking?
And we will be cooking. AFC as well, you guys are still going. We're about to end the stream, but I'll still be going on Gun Down's YouTube channel in about 15 minutes. So the work doesn't end for me. I've got to say my piece as well on Carl's YouTube channel. So I'll still be in action, just on a different YouTube channel.
This will be like Gooner Gathering after dark, won't it, mate, for you? Am I right?
I won't be swearing at it. I don't have a very sweary voice, so
no,
I think anyway.
But just trying to wrap this up now, guys. This has been a good one tonight. I've enjoyed it thoroughly. Just keep an eye on our social medias for when we're going to be live next. Unfortunately, certainly due to my family circumstances, I won't be able to do a preview show over the next couple of days because I've got to look after my little girl whilst mummy's at work. But if anything does happen on the channel, I'm sure my broadcast partner will let me know, and I'll put it up on the socials. Our next scheduled is going to be is obviously the Sunday football, and Bertie will cover Arsenal against Everton. I'm going to have to tolerate watching Manchester City versus West Ham, but I'm sure it's going to be an interesting stream anyway. And it's been a lot of fun. So do you want to put the social media banners up, and then we'll get out of here, mate?
Most definitely. Right after this comment from AFC Always, I will see you on the next one. We all what's best for Arsenal as true Arsenal fans. I think every Arsenal fan obviously wants what's best for Arsenal. Some do it differently than others. So yeah, that's best as I say. Yeah. Anyway, you can follow me on X at Posh Bertie. My Instagram is at Bertie Wanderless, and I run Gooner Gathering's Instagram account, which is at Gooner Gathering. If you want my predictions for the two games, Arsenal and Man City, coming up, I think Arsenal will win 3-1 and Man City will win 5-0.
Who knows? Who knows, ladies and gentlemen? I'm still going to go into it positive. I'm going to have a good time on Sunday. Win, lose, or draw. Of course, you can find me at Goonily Meads. You can find all of the channel here at Goonie Gathering. Of course, I run the TikTok channel of the same name as well. So make sure you check us out on there. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a fun one tonight. Thank you very much indeed. Make sure you watch Posh Bertie on Gun Down in about 15 minutes. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of here.